Welcome back, everybody, for episode 15. Yeah, 15 of Rules of the Arena podcast. Sitting down today with Anna and Pete from Bitmad Bakery, and I'm joined today by my producer, Casey.
Yo.
And Brian from Hop and Barrel's making another appearance.
What's up?
And Grandpa Ben's finally come back. It's 2 episodes in a row.
Always.
Grandpa Ben.
Howdy, kid. Back in my day, they had more respect for their elders.
Damn straight.
He made me cut a switch. I didn't even do anything yet.
He's just prepared. He knows you're going to say something.
Yep.
You kiss your mother with that mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Anna, Pete, thanks for coming down. We've kind of been trying to coordinate this for some time. I know you've been real busy with all the farmer markets going on this summer and everything else. Just want to give a quick introduction about yourselves.
Go ahead, Pete.
I'm Pete. I'm the sales guy, pretty much for the bakery, and I don't know. I got everybody knows me because I have one arm. It's pretty hard not to miss me at the markets. That's for sure.
They always mention that he's the better half, and I let them know they're wrong. Tell them how Bitmad started.
Well, I had cancer for a period of time, lost my arm to the cancer, and I don't know, somebody who likes to bake bread decided I had to get out of the house because milling about was just not working out, apparently.
No, it wasn't.
So we decided to start doing farmers markets because a lot of people really like her bread, and 5 years later, here we are. We rebuilt a commercial kitchen in our 2+ car garage, and people seem to really like it.
That's all it takes.
He got that cancer, then it took his arm, and then it went to his lungs, and the doctors weren't so sure he was going to make it. He had gotten that cancer right after we bought him. We adopted our 5-year-old son, so things were pretty hectic at the time, and they didn't really say that he wasn't going to make it, but after the fact, he's 8 years cancer-free. Is it 8 or 9?
Yep.
8 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
8 years cancer-free, and he's doing great, and so they feel real confident about that he's going to make it. But at the time, it wasn't the greatest thing. So then he was getting a little bored at home, and he wasn't. Boys are getting older, and so I just had to get him out of the house. And then shortly after that, I started, or I had been working at a hospital for 20 years, and they decided to lay me off. So sent me home with severance. So we used that, and then we used the unemployment and then the bakery started getting going, and we've had really good reviews and a lot of return customers, and everything's going great that way.
It's awesome.
Anna, go ahead and move the mic a little bit closer.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm just,
Usually she's
How's
loud.
that?
It doesn't make
yeah, I'm as loud as
matter
they
of
come.
distance.
I'm a little concerned.
So how'd the conversation go to turn the garage in, from where you can store the cars in our wonderful winters to, I want to have a commercial bakery?
Well, it started out that we had it in our house, and we outgrew the bakery. We had a large dining room that we used to have a lot of dinner parties and a lot of family gatherings, and so we turned that into the commercial bakery, and we had a playroom connected to that. And so we had that, and then we started getting too big, and we couldn't get everything done that we needed to get done in that area. So Pete's parents left him a little bit of money, and so we took that money and we turned the garage into a commercial bakery, and it's like heaven now. I don't have to have it in my house. I'm gonna have Thanksgiving again for the first time in a couple of years.
Is that something
And-
you wanted back?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah, we used to love to have people over and have dinner parties and things, and we couldn't do any of that anymore because life changes, and that's the way it is. But I don't know. I think it's going really well, and
Yeah, we're running out of table space at the farmers market, so we're obviously expanding, and people are loving it.
Yeah,
so,
what we bake, they buy, so I'm okay with it.
All right.
How many farmers markets are you doing now?
At the
Yeah.
summertime we do Oakdale and White Bear, and then we, by accident, by luck, we got into the St. Paul Farmers Market. I had gone in there with some samples, and I just thought, well, I can always ask. And I heard that St. Paul was really hard to get into, and I asked if there's any chance to get into the Sunday market, and got a call later. He says, sure, you can be in a Saturday market. That was, 3 years ago?
yeah.
And I just about died because I thought, how the hell are we going to do that? We don't know what we're doing. And just made a whole bunch of bread and had a whole bunch of samples, and boom, it worked really well. And then we picked up Sundays. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have the markets, and then we have a market on Wednesday, and that's during the
Yeah.
summertime. Now the markets are down to Saturday at the St. Paul Market. Pete stands outside and freezes.
That's a true Minnesotan there. That's what
Yeah.
that is.
True.
And the people are out looking for it, so.
True idiot. But anyway, he stands outside, and I stay in the indoors at the Oakdale Market, and then we have one out in Apple Valley that we do. That's all that we do in the winter time. We have a couple of places that we sell bread to in town, in Hudson, the hospital. We sell a little bread to them. She had gone to the market and said she wanted to use somebody that was local, so we started using a little bread with that. And then down at Wired Robin at the cafe, the coffee shop down there, that we sell a couple different types of breads to them. And so, I don't know, everything's gone quite well. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I can't do anything about the water heater. It's the one downfall to the basement studio. So is like the farmer market scene kind of competitive, or is it just is there a lot of like vendors trying to get in? Like, why is there a...
Well, from what I understand, there's a huge waiting list to get in. But the reason why we got in was there was 3 bread vendors before I asked had just recently stopped. So
Oh, really?
they needed a couple of bread vendors. Now there was another woman that was there on Saturdays or on Sundays, and so she started on Saturdays, and we both did. Now we're both doing Saturday, Sunday. But recently they sold their place, so we expanded our offerings, because we didn't want to encroach on anything that they were making. But she left, so then we started doing the sweetbreads and the cookies and that kind of thing. Otherwise, we did just yeast breads.
Okay. Well, speaking of bread, we have a bunch of bread here. I feel like we should eat some. We're gonna apologize in advance for some of the chewing sounds that are gonna happen here.
And the rustling.
Yeah, last week,
Is there one that we should start with? Or
Well, yeah, the ugly is our garlic cheddar bread, and the reason that's called ugly is when I started making it, I could not make it look right because I was doing it a different way, and it looked hideous, and it pissed me off. And so then I said to my husband, it's ugly bread. And that's a garlic cheddar bread. The other one's tomato basil Gouda bread. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to use cheeses that were sold at the farmer's market. And so we bought our cheeses from Eichton's Market, or Eichton's Cheese at the market.
You just want me to make you a sandwich, Gord? I'm cutting the bread. You guys can't see this. I'm cutting the bread, and he starts pulling out cheese and lunch meat and stuff.
I didn't want to be rude and ask, but if you're offering,
Hey, Brian, you want to stick around and make me a sandwich?
get to the kitchen, Brian.
So Annie and Pete, last week after recording, what did we record? Oh, we sat down with the hop farmer, but we were talking kind of planning for this week, and got on the subject of the bread that you make, and I was up talking quite a bit, and I said, well, I live in Spooner, I'll stop down at Louis Finer's Meats, and then Casey offered to stop down and pick up some cheese and everything, and thus the little sandwich deli that we got going on today.
Brian, you missed some people.
I want to get something.
He was hungry.
The man's got a knife.
I do have a knife.
This is gonna be a good episode. I'm excited.
Hey, food and beer. What you can't go
Right?
wrong with that.
We've
No, not
already
at
leveled
all.
up. We've gone from beer to now food and beer.
Right? Yeah.
Like 4 different kinds of food, too.
No, the problem is this makes it more work every time we do an episode because we have to keep topping it. Pretty soon we're gonna have to bring in like a gourmet chef.
Yeah, you'll
I've-
be expanding
I've had it.
exponentially.
Anna, when did you get into the baking side of things?
Oh, when I was little, my mom always made these white buns. When we were kids, that's what she always had. That was one of the things she made, and so I learned how to make that. My sisters, neither one of them got into it, so I would make the white buns, and then later on, I wondered why Mom never put anything in them. So then, what we do now is we put in a cheddar mix of sharp and mild cheddar into the buns, and we make cheddar buns that we sell at the market, and that's a huge hit. And then I wanted to make a cracked wheat bread, and I was looking in bread books, and one of the recipes had said to me, well, it didn't really talk to me, but it said it said that you could add whatever you take recipe from page 21 and add add this to it, and then that'll make this bread. And I realized you can add whatever you want to it. So what I did was I added oats and rye flour and whole wheat flour and cracked wheat and honey, and we decided to go with olive oil, or I did because I thought it would be healthier, and I had all these different things that we were putting in the bread, and it turns out that was just for at home. And I would take it into my job, and I'd make everybody taste test it, and people would give me ideas, and one of them was add molasses, and so I added that, and we just worked with everybody and came up with a bread, and that's one of our best sellers now that we started this farmer's market. So I always baked whatever at home, and I just thought that, you just go with whatever. At the farmer's market, people have asked us to make, do you have rye bread? And we get enough requests for rye bread, so we started making rye, and then a caraway rye, and now we make a dark rye, because that's what the customers are asking for. Peter had request after request for sourdough bread, and I looked at him and I go, I am not learning how to make sourdough. You go for the gold. So he did, and now we have the sourdough in the refrigerator, and he feeds it every week. And
Yeah, it's definitely a process.
yeah, it's
About 3
horrible.
days before from starter to finished bread for us, and that's
So if there's anyone out there like me that I have the amazing ability to burn water on a stove. So how do you make sourdough?
More importantly, how do you burn water?
It's a skill.
It's something.
If you put me behind a grill, I'm just fine, unattended. You put me in a kitchen, I am completely useless.
Well, tell him the sourdough process, Pete.
well, it's more about the fermentation. I mean, it's just basic sourdough is water and unbleached flour. And there are so many different ways you can do it, but mine, I keep it pretty basic. It's rye flour, unbleached flour, and water. You let it sit till it starts foaming. It actually turns a little bit of a slight alcohol. I guess back in the day, that's first where they got the term hooch, is from the sourdough alcohol from that. So, and it's just fermented flour, yeast in the air, and stuff like that. And it's just more of the mixing everything together, letting it sit for a while, let it ferment some more, and
And
I
take
think we've
it
done
out,
pretty good.
And then take it out of the refrigerator and take out a chunk of it. Tell them how you do that, and then we have to let that sit overnight.
So do you inoculate your dough with a specific yeast, or is it just kind of set?
No,
No,
up?
it's
it's
what's
just-
in the air, which
Okay.
is why
Yeah.
it's sour, from what I understand.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
whatever's
Wild.
around.
Yeah, you can pretty much let anything ferment, and you come up almost anything like that. But yeah, I just I got a starter from a customer from our White Bear Lake market. He had the basic starter for 15 years. Supposedly got it from his sister, who had it for another 20 years or something like that. So apparently it's got history back to San Francisco. Who knows? It's the sourdough's got all kinds of different, a lot of history to it, and you can come up with almost any story to go behind it. So
So he takes out a I don't know, a blob of it or whatever, and then he has to mix that up, and then that has to sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then we have to mix up the bread dough, and then that has to sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then we take that out, and then that has to raise, and that's how, but it just takes forever. So I was not going to learn how to make another damn so I let him do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in real quick from a fermentation scientist standpoint. So what you guys are talking about is real close to how yeast ferment sugars and make beer. It's the same thing. And in this type of situation, this is another starch broken into sugar. Yeast eat the sugar, and then half of the metabolization of that is gas, which is what causes the bread to rise in the first place. So
yeah,
does that make sense?
in a simplified form.
If you'd like to know.
Trust me, I spend a lot of time trying to simplify that because people ask all the time, like, how do you how does it work? And it's like, well, they eat sugar and poop, bread and gas.
Yeah.
In this situation,
And you try and make something before it goes rotten.
That should sell a lot of bread, guys. Thanks.
you're welcome.
If you'd like to know more about fermentation, please listen to Homebrew Bound every Tuesday on blindnewstudios.com.
Man, I'm good at I worked in a plug for our other show.
And when you get tired of brewing, you have a burgeoning career in marketing.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than my description of when people ask me, how do you guys brew beer? Well, you take some yeast, hops, and stuff, and water, and witchcraft happens, and beer comes out on the other side.
From what I understand, it's just a lot of swearing and yelling at things.
It's threatening to stab me in the eye, and
If it goes really wrong, it turns into bread.
You're mentioning you just decided to start throwing things together. I mean, was it just ideas off the top of your head talking to friends and family, or was it a lot of it customer based? Like my personal favorite, your cranberry walnut that nobody here will like, so I'll just take that loaf home.
I feel like we need to validate
How many
that.
loaves? How many loaves have you claimed so far? This is
All
insane.
of them. We've cut the only one he'll let us eat.
I would. Well, even then, now trying that for the first time, I'm gonna have to have a long conversation with my mother, who introduced me to your bread products. And, I didn't realize it's been 5 years because she just started bringing them home about a year ago. So now I'm real disappointed. I'm questioning that gift card I got her for Christmas now.
Oh man.
Well, the cracked or the craisin walnut bread. I thought that the customer or we had seen it. And
Yeah,
they
somebody
said
had brought up if we do like a fruit and a nut
that's what it
type of bread. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. We looked at a couple of different recipes, I think, and then
Well, we took took the cracked wheat bread and we lightened it up because I thought if we're putting in craisins and walnuts, that's going to heavy it. Our bread is very heavy and dense, and so we lightened that one up a bit and then put in the craisins and the walnuts. And I like to have a lot of craisins and walnuts, and if I make a cheese bread, everything has to be overboard. So so we put in that in, and then what happens is I make my husband be the taste tester and try all the different breads.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
And so
If you need a
anytime-
spoon or office, I got it.
You moved. It's your fault. So that bread, that's why we did that. And the rye breads, I'm not familiar with rye breads at all. So I just, my husband is, so I started with the basic recipe, and he would just keep saying to me, more rye flour, more rye flour, more rye flour, till I got it where he liked it. And then we started selling it. And we've had really good responses to all the different types of breads that we pulled out of there. So
Sorry about the rustling, everyone.
No.
It's worth it, I think.
I'm gonna cut up. That's a good.
Yeah, we
bread.
like to have some fun with our bread names. Ugly bread, that's a Gouda. Our dark rye is a dark side rye.
There's some smoked Gouda, too, if we want to add more Gouda.
I'm not going to argue
your Gouda.
You can't have enough cheese. You just can't.
We are in Wisconsin.
Right. What witchcraft are you pulling off though? Because I came home and there's a loaf of bread sitting in the freezer, and I'm like, why you don't put bread in the goddamn freezer? But it tastes just as good sitting in the freezer for several days versus the first day it's and I find it and I try to hide it away from everybody else in the household. Why is that versus you take store-bought garbage and throw it in the freezer and
Well,
it doesn't taste anything
It's
like it
it's
used
got
to?
a lot of the density of the bread. I mean, even just the basic white bread. I mean, we have a lot of customers who will come up and they'll pick up a package of buns or whatever, and they're, holy crap, these things are heavy. The cracked wheat flax bread is 2.5 pounds, but if you pick it up, it's feels like it's almost 5 pounds. It's that dense, so it seems to make a huge difference.
And if you
That
buy
way.
crap bread at the store, you're gonna have crap bread out of your freezer. That's all that there's to it. No, I don't. I think that too that it is the density, and yeah, it tastes good whether you freeze it or you don't freeze it. And we always tell everybody freeze it or eat it because there's no preservatives, and things will turn, especially in the summertime. We have a cheddar bun, a white bun that we put cheddar in, and those guys will turn green.
Yeah, that's the one
But-
that you brought a pan to the brewery, and
Those are the ones you love. Okay, well, we'll make sure we bring them down because Lord knows I like to give away the bread too because it makes me happy.
And hopefully they weren't the green ones. No, missed the fermentation.
these aren't too bad.
You just brush that off.
But yeah, no, we were eating That's a Good, and it was really good.
That was damn good.
It's a
Ugly
tomato basil Gouda cheese from Eichton's Cheese
Ridiculous.
on that one.
Get some cheese going around here.
So how did you start sourcing your ingredients then? Are you going to the store and buying them, or like you mentioned Eichmann's, or people that you knew or you reached out to?
Well, Eichton's, what we wanted to do is make sure that we're trying to use different ingredients from the actual farmer's market. The honey doesn't come from the farmer's market, but it comes from the guy that lives just a mile and a half away from us. So we.
Rodewald?
What's that?
Who's the honey from?
Well, it's Dan is his name, and I call him the bee guy, but I don't.
We're not on a last name basis. So
Fair enough.
Is there any more that bread?
He just
anywhere?
does whatever we need.
Yeah,
And
which
so-
one do you want?
Any of it?
So we do that, and
All
then
of
all the different grains were harder to find. And a friend of ours told us about a place in Barron, Wisconsin, and it's the Mennonite store. And so we get all our whole oats and all that in 50-pound bags. So we have cracked wheat and rye flour and whole wheat flour and all those types of things we need to get in larger quantities. So we get those from that store. Now, recently we found a place, but I don't know. It just seems to work from them.
yeah, they seem to have about the best prices we can find, and
We want to go with wholer grains.
yeah.
Look at he's eating.
I'm a really good host.
So I could maybe sing a song.
I feel so gluttonous. I'm sorry. I have meat, cheese, and bread. I need nothing
I'm
else.
mad. I thought there was only like 2 or 3 varieties, like your cheesy buns, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, they're.
I didn't bring those tonight. I
Oh,
should have.
damn it!
I know.
All right, we're out. Sorry.
I didn't make those today, so I didn't
If you
bring
hear a rustling noise in the garage in the next few weeks, just ignore it. It'll be fine. I'll lock the door on my
All
way
you
out.
have to do is come over. We'll give them to you. I also want to say that anytime we see a serviceman at the farmer's market, and so wear your caps when you come to the farmer's market, because we give any serviceman and any fireman and any policeman something free off of our table to thank them for our service. No matter when it is, what it is, we find them. And I call them over to the table usually, and they just are like, they're a little scared of me, and rightly so. And then I make them take something for free. Sometimes we get guys that won't do it, but we want to always say thank you for your service, and that's the only way we can come up with a way to do it. So if you have a hat, or you can just tell
Or
me.
a vest, or basically anything that pretty much shows that you're a vet, and or
Even if you don't have
Fire
it, you
department
just
or
tell us.
whatever.
We're happy to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just that's the way we try to find them. So we like to give that away just because we want to say thank you for your service. And we won't send you to the border. Okay, I said it.
They can't do anything at the border. They can only help people. Being serious. So not to backtrack, but what makes the bread so heavy? Just heavy stuff?
More or less, yeah.
I think it's the heavy flour.
That helps. Thanks.
Yeah.
Heavy
Well,
water.
at one point, a customer they said, "Can you make a lighter bread?"
No.
And she was like, "I don't know how."
I don't know. I think
Air
it's-
compressor, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we start with a 2.5 pound loaf, and we let it raise until it hits a certain part in the pan. If you let it raise higher and higher, then it'd be a lighter loaf. But I think that the types of bread that we're making, we want them to be a little more dense, and I think it keeps the moisture in there also. And I don't want to have a dried out.
Yeah, no.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes
And
sense.
again, Gordon's eating.
It's my
So,
favorite hobby.
so you were saying that you do a lot of like, maybe experimentation is the wrong word, but just putting stuff in bread to see what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Has there been one that's just failed so miserably that you're like, well, I didn't even think this was a good idea?
Not in my bakery.
All right. Good answer. Good answer.
We got as far as ugly, but
No, I don't know that we've had any failures where we said this isn't, because we just keep going until we get something.
Oh,
we
until you
like.
get okay.
The reason we made the tomato basil Gouda bread is the Eichton's woman that sells it, Brenda. She sells the cheese to us. She says, "Hey, why don't you make a Gouda bread?" So I said, "Okay, let's give it a go." We read on the label what was in the Gouda, the cheese that she sells, and then we just enhanced those same flavors into that bread. But I don't know that we had one that we said we're not selling that. We just keep going until we like it.
Okay.
yeah, pretty much.
We make these one of the newest things that we do is a cheesy brioche, and we keep those warm in a little pizza oven at the market. And brioche is a really I had no idea what it was, but it's a really heavy, rich bread. So you use 8 pounds of flour to 4 pounds of butter. That's huge amount.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what's a normal ratio?
Well, I don't use any eggs at all in mine or butter.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's 32 eggs in that.
Wow.
That batch. And it's a really, really rich bread. So what we had heard was Madison, Wisconsin was selling these loaves of bread where people were lining up, and I knew I couldn't sell loaves of it. Their bakery was really close, so they brought this hot bread over, and people would stand in line, and then they would get this bread, and so I thought, well, we can do muffin-sized little biscuits in the thing, and that has taken off really well.
Yeah. It's
And
getting a
this-
lot of popularity, even in, well, especially in the wintertime. You got those warm buns? No, a little too cold for that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we can't keep the thing hot, to sell them. But the smell of them coming out of that little pizza warmer has really caught on to the people, and so we stole that idea from Madison. I mean, it wasn't their recipe. I don't know what their recipe is, but I read up online on how they do it, and then we took a brioche recipe, and then we used Eichton's cheese and told her what we wanted, and I don't know, it's gone good, but I got some of those too. Warm them up in the microwave and try them out. They're these little guys here.
See that label says
I
that
don't
it's-
move fast often, but I can do it when I need
There's bread involved.
to. It's a story between me and a buddy, my good friend growing up, Zach. He's about me to you away. And if we were sitting at Applebee's, the big corner booth, and somebody in between us, or it'd be more me to Pete, and somebody in between us threw up a pickle spear, goes, "Who wants it?" And I broke the sound barrier going for that pickle spear. And I had it engulfed by the time Zach was able to turn
You know
his
that's
head
a
and look at me.
vegetable, right?
Oh man, was that the sound of a whip cracking? No, just
Gordon
Gordon
found a pickle.
Yeah, the flying pickle. Yeah.
So we're about 10 years deep into our food war, but he's down in Madison, Wisconsin now. So
I think he's winning then.
no, it's escalated quickly a few times. God, what else do we got here? I mean, we can
We
make some
have-
sandwiches. I mean, that was kind of the original idea.
I was gonna cut some more cheese.
Yeah, dude,
cheese.
start cutting some cheese.
Yeah, so
and
I brought
some-
some turkey breasts. I brought chicken, and I think I brought ham.
I went to the special cheese place in the grocery store and just started buying things.
This
I was
looks
like,
good,
this
and
seems
this-
fun.
Specials.
Jeez, can you see him skipping along in the grocery store?
With a little basket.
Cheese here, cheese there, cheese there. I can see it.
Colby,
You're not
no.
too far off. Like,
American cheese, no.
He somehow has pigtails. Suddenly.
Pigtails and lederhosen.
Very serious crowd around here, as you can tell.
hey, two of my favorite episodes we've ever done of DOO were the expensive beer and cheap cheese episode, and then the expensive cheese and cheap beer episode.
I'm glad I missed those.
I feel like those need a round 2. I want to participate.
What was the second one? Like Stilton and Blatz? Or?
Apparently American craft singles do not pair well with any beer.
Well, Brian's dealing out more cheese.
What am I? What did I don't do here? This looks French. Whoa. It's Le Gruyere. Oh, it's Swiss. Le Gruyere, mild, smooth, well balanced, fruity notes. I read that.
All right. I thought you were picking that up from the cheese.
Nope.
No, has anybody at the farmer market ever come up to you like, how do I get into this, or how do I start a commercial bakery as a home-based operation or anything like that?
A couple people, but not too many.
Not for a bakery so much as how do you get the equipment? How do you start that? And what we did was we went online and Pete found some auction houses, and we bought everything used at auctions and started up. And everything we found was really reasonable.
Yeah, oddly enough, a lot of restaurants are going out of business.
They always want us to have a storefront, and I just can't think that. We could never afford a storefront. We could never do anything like that. But I don't know that that's the best way to go either.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you add a lot of overhead.
and I can't even imagine. A lot of bakeries too have been going into the grocery stores, and we haven't done that yet. We haven't.
No, we still like to sleep.
I was gonna say that'd probably push you into a different kind of a crazier echelon, and having myself dealt with a lot of the chains selling beer to them, it's time consuming, just as you said.
Well, time
Get out in
consuming
sales and stuff like
and
that.
then
all of that.
ours have such a short shelf life that we'd have to
Right.
be going back there and taking it off and bringing fresh and
I'll buy a deep freezer and like an office in Spooner, satellite location. I'm the
Gordon,
sales
if
rep
you
now.
eat all of the product, they're not making any money.
What's the story about the elves that are eating the baker's goods or whatever overnight?
Don't those elves make them shoes?
Yeah, something.
Those different elves? Which elves?
I feel like
are you
there's a
talking
fair
about?
trade. I don't.
I'm just one really big hungry ass elf.
There's a term for that. That's ogre.
Well, we do kind of branch out on occasion. Anna's cousin, who lives in Ladysmith, he come down, get some of our breads and sell it some of the farmers market up
Yep.
in around Ladysmith area, Barron, I guess. So, hey, Spooner might need one.
Yeah.
There you
No,
go.
well, I'm based out of Rice Lake area now, and I know a lot of people. I think if you're, we could set a booth up. I got a lunch coming up in March or so if you want to come up that way.
There you
Really,
go.
what you need to do is you need to consider it. Sherwin-Williams needs to buy these as like gift baskets.
Oh, that requires a lot of signatures up the food chain, way past my pay grade.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Do you know the amount of paperwork I have to do to write off my cup of coffee I bought for a customer? I'm not going to go through that much hassle. It's like a 20-minute process for a $350 cup of coffee. We're not going to get into a satellite program. Now, the Arena LLC, on the other hand, we could probably talk since I know the CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
You could just have Casey deliver the bread in a little, his little basket that he used to gather up the cheese earlier. Send him around.
Again, with the lederhosen and the ponytails.
These dudes are like, is that guy skipping around the paint store? What's going on here?
Just call it Pippi's delivery service.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right. No,
We'll have
we
to
really
get
got this rolling here.
the wig with the long red pigtails.
Do you have that?
Not yet. Not yet. So again, here I'm gonna jam my brewing, owning a brewery thing, all up into this conversation, and by that I mean, so you don't have a storefront, you do have the commercial kitchen in your garage. Is there any type of like regulation or who comes to inspect you? How does that all work for you?
Well, the county.
The county? Okay.
Yeah, the county comes in and sends an inspector, and they tell us what we're doing. If we're because it's bread, the chances of anything going wrong, there's no raw meats or anything like that. So, it's we have to have the 3 sinks. We have to have all the things in order. We have to, we have to know all the precautions and everything like that. But it's a pretty easy thing. I think if we had raw meats and that kind of thing, that you have to be a lot more wary of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we bleach everything down just like you would in a kitchen like that, and we take care of that. But we do get a license every year. They come out.
Yep.
And they check our temperatures on our refrigerators and on our freezers, and make sure that everything's good that way. And
Yep. Got to have the nail brush by the sink.
oh yeah,
Et cetera.
yeah. And a sign that says "Wash your hands."
Yep.
Yeah.
All of that. It's interesting.
It is interesting because it's just like, okay, I'll put a sign up, but it's not like we have employees.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's the world these days. You got to put a sign on something hot that says, "Hey, idiot, it's hot."
And I
touch
wish with all the burns that I've gotten, maybe I should put some of those. Nothing worse than hot caramel dripping out of your caramel rolls and nailing you in the arm, and then the blister comes up.
Oh,
I just
man.
got rid of one of those. That really makes me bitter. A lot of maybe swearing goes on.
That never happens.
No.
A lot of
I
love
knew
goes into
fermentation had swearing in it.
Yep.
That's why it's named Ugly Bread instead
damn
of
it,
Son of a Bitch, I hate this stuff.
Sorry, I was just replying to Ernie Ace here. Thank you for tuning in on Twitch and just asking if this is a family talk show.
It's definitely not family friendly.
No, it is not.
Hey, somebody say the F word.
Friends?
We'll let you know. Hang on.
And Ben's just mad because he can't get rid of me.
Yep.
I've been trying for 8 years.
Well, you should just cut off his damn lawn, okay? Like,
Seriously.
Christ, sorry, now I've lost all train of thought now.
Oh, did you go through all the questions you wrote down?
Yeah, we did. Look at that.
He hit the one.
Now, it's not often you find a product that really truly sells itself, and I think once people, in my case, try your bread and everything else, it does really sell itself. I mean, do you find that in the farmers market, or is that just my
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have...
quasi-biased opinion?
We've got a lot of people, they get a little scared come wintertime, so they'll stock up like 10 loaves of bread, or on occasion we have met people in better lit parking lots, alleyways, just to drop off. And
doing bread deals.
it's pretty close. I don't know how many people are like, I feel like I'm doing a drug transaction. Well, we're 2 cars, meet the driver's side, pass out some bread, pass some money,
Yeah.
and we drive away.
That is how that works.
I would love to be the police officer that walks up on that situation. Well, what are you guys doing?
We're exchanging bread. I mean, he's giving me money, I'm giving him bread.
It's fellowship.
You got that
They're
dough.
breaking
You got
bread
that
together.
bread.
I mean, it might look a little odd because it's a one-armed guy dealing out some bread out of a white van, but
That's profiling. Damn it.
it's not candy. Sweet rolls, but
we started off with samples, and we still do samples, but we really
As
are.
any good dealer would.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
First one's
Yeah,
free.
you gotta hook them on it. But I mean, that's what we did because we just figured, why would you buy a loaf of bread? I mean, if you don't know what it's, I don't know. And that was huge. The sampling, you should always do samples. If you believe in your product, do some samples because that's the only way. That's what's going to sell it. And so that's how we got started, and we have had people buy large amounts because they're not going to find us in the winter, even though we tell them we're out here.
They might not be.
And then people that are moving back or they're going home. I had a lady.
we've got some people like pretty steady. Well, they come at the White Bear Lake Market when they come to visit family, and they bring it back to Chicago. My sister and brother-in-law, when they well, I don't think we ever shipped it out, but they used to live in Hawaii, so they really like that. So I mean, we've got local, global, sort of, if you want, a following of people. And when they get in town, they make sure they buy it, and they'll freeze it and bring it down on their check bag or something like that. I've brought probably about 30 pounds of bread down to Arizona every now and then, visiting relatives down there. So.
Give it time. Johnny Depp's going to be doing a movie about you.
It'll be called Bake.
Wow, that's good. I feel like in this movie though that they're gonna like Hollywoodize the shit out of it, and they'll be like the one-armed man, and then they'll give you like an eye patch as well. Like,
And then Harrison Ford will just chase you.
There's a scene with a helicopter, like.
I can play my own part, but I mean, they probably just CGA it off.
Exactly. That's what they do in Hollywood.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Who knew bread could be so exciting?
Oh man. So when you're naming your breads, so you have like that's a Gouda, which is a great pun. Have you ever started with a pun and then made a bread around it, or is it always the bread first and then the pun?
It's always been the bread first. And
Yeah, pretty much. And then it kind of comes into mind. I've been wanting to change our straight rye to Ghana rye, and our caraway rye to carrot away. Don't get carrot away. Rye.
Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, our bakery name is Bitmad, so you gotta have fun. Gotta have fun with your food.
the reason it's Bitmad is my last name's Bittner and his is Madsen. So 20 years ago, I said, when we got married, I said, could we be Bitmad? Can we just change it? Oh, no, he wouldn't do it. Okay, fine. So I kept Bittner because I'm not changing my name just to change it. And
Don't tell that to my wife.
So
she was older. We got married older, so
Wait a minute, she was older. Like 80 or something.
she's a year older than I am. I think I just lost my other arm. Sorry.
I guess I'll be driving home. Whatever. Thought I had a sober ride. Oh, God. No, I was 36 when we got married, and I wasn't going to change my name. But I could have been Anna Bitmad for the rest of my life. It would have been a bit mad. But no, he said no, because he would have been P bit mad, and that would have been good. Oh. So anyway.
Oh, no. I think we're all a bit mad for this
Yeah, right. Yeah.
at the moment.
Well, I'm getting hungry because I keep.
Sorry, we're
bread
killing
on
this growler over here. I don't know.
Yeah,
Drink some
posers.
beer. You want a knife?
You can start working on for sandwiches. We'll call it even for the beer I brought.
Oh man, I gotta make more sandwiches.
How many times have I given you beer? Like,
But I brought food.
I brought food.
Well,
Yeah.
I coerced people to bring food.
Yeah.
Gordon's true skill: get somebody else to do the work.
Yeah, outsourcing and management.
So you guys do like a lot of like collaboration with the other people at the farmers markets, right? Like, well, you talked about the cheese and stuff. Have you ever thought about like getting together with like a butcher there or some and like doing like sandwiches at the farmers markets, or is that just a little far overreaching?
That's a lot more licensing and
Okay.
a lot more crap we got to haul around at the market. And we have to have we have to have a triple sink and all,
Okay.
No, yeah.
hand washing, and we could probably do like a food truck sort of idea, but that's still a lot of effort.
And they do
Lot of
have
work.
they do have a couple of a couple of guys. One does a barbecue thing on at the market,
Okay.
and then they don't have everything piled up like that, And you have to have everything approved, like at the St. Paul Farmers Market, to get your brioche, and all of that has to be approved.
So you just need a third party basically to come in and buy everything separately from everybody and then sell it, right? Well, that would be the perfect solution where if people wanted to make sandwiches at the market.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
I take it you're coming up with an idea.
Well,
you got a truck somewhere.
I want to go somewhere and eat sandwiches. Like,
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's really not an idea. It's just what I want.
Well, I got a nice backyard up in Spooner, Wisconsin.
Nobody's driving this.
Nobody's driving this.
Have you had the bread?
I
have had the bread.
I believe there's even a bridge up there that says Spooner blows.
And Hayward sucks. I've seen said bread.
There is, yeah, I've seen it too.
Now, do you have office hours that you're open out of your garage at all that people can?
No, I don't believe that's even legal to
Okay.
do that up, because we're in a residential area,
Sure.
and so no, we don't.
Just going in today, my mom texts me, goes, "Hey, can I put an order in while you're there?"
Unreal.
Your mom.
She
Yeah.
she likes the
Actually.
craze and walnut. She likes the granola, and she likes
And the
lots
cheesy
of
buns.
different cheesy buns, which I failed to bring. My God, what were you
Well,
thinking?
This is like the
You got the brioche. I mean, that's
Yeah, here's
cheesy.
a
and-
bun.
time
Throw
that
some
was
cheese
brought
in.
up.
Make it your damn self, Gordon.
That is not what I'm good at.
Now you get those cheesy buns, and you have a couple left over, and you slice them, and you put garlic butter on them, and you toast them in the oven, and then you put them in the freezer. That's what we do, and then you toast them and have them with your salads.
I've never done that. So I always use them. Well, started to use them this year. Put them in the microwave for 20-ish seconds, and then using them as burger patties, and then put more cheese on the burger, of course, because
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. It's ruined burger buns really. Whenever I've gone out and people, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
like
all right.
is that like a double Juicy Lucy?
Kind of, yeah. It's
I am so
People-
so hungry.
And that's the love of God. Look at the center of the table.
Yeah, there is so much food here. I'm
Is
so
this
hungry.
episode over so we can just start?
And they make really good fried egg sandwich too.
Yeah.
I mean, with the
Toast them a little bit.
Canadian
make
bacon, no pineapple apparently from the last episode.
yeah.
but-
Don't the
He's a-
communist isn't here anymore.
Yeah, he's gone.
No, we are a
But
big fan of
people
pineapple.
come up and always tell us what they use the bread for, and they always give us ideas. And one thing that I couldn't understand when we started selling bread, people would ask me, "Well, can I put sloppy joes on these buns?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's America. You can
You
put
can do
whatever
whatever you want.
I
Yeah,
don't
pretty
care
much.
what you do.
No,
No, that's not how we sell our bread. So
this is a licensed
we're a
product.
little bit more friendly at the market. Yeah, but
we're
they're
not
always-
the bread Nazi. No, you give us the buns back. Here's your cash.
No
Get outta
bread
here.
for you.
Give us the buns, Lebowski.
Do you ever get kickback from people that, in my industry, in the paint industry, we get a lot of folks that, well, I read online or I saw on this TV show, this is how you do it. Do you ever get anyone like that? Like, well, this is kind of good, but you should really be doing it this way
Oh,
because
you
my,
should.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
We get a lot of we get a lot of people. Well, do you make it with organic flour?
No,
Can you do it with organic product. Do you guys make gluten free? No, no, we don't. Sorry.
I like
Is
delicious.
this keto
food.
friendly, Brad?
I think that's a cracker. I don't.
Pretty close. I mean, we could probably do it with our caramel. You know, we could put caramel on cardboard and it'll be really good.
Well, and Peter told the people that I'm because I'm kind of a wild baker and there's flour everywhere. He goes, even the basement isn't gluten free. There's no place in this house that is gluten free.
The neighbors are barely.
It looks like Christmas year round.
Well, it's sort of like Pigpen, just with flour.
Okay, again, I'm old and now I'm Pigpen. I'm not sure.
You just can't win tonight.
No. Well, he's not going to make it home. I'll tell you that.
Pete, it's been good knowing you.
right.
Thanks
Well-
for coming down.
You got plenty of meat. I'll get lost in the basement for a while.
I couldn't find the stairs.
Beer down here.
If you go back to a few episodes of this show, and I don't know about DOO at all, but there was a cricket hiding around here.
Oh God, I remember that.
Oh, I hate the cricket.
Oh, I like that idea.
Funny.
It was the opposite of funny. This is an audio medium.
We'll be recording in January, and something tips over. Oh, there goes Pete again.
Well, we do have we call it the kitchen witch around the bakery because, you know, inevitably something will fall, something will happen, the channel will change on the TV, no apparent reason. Well, it's got to be the kitchen witch. So
There you go.
got to have somebody to
Gremlins in
blame for
every
that.
operation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
The same ones that steal my tape measure when I set it down in the shop. And
Oh God.
Lose a hammer, lose
Oh,
a
the tape
screwdriver,
measure.
buy a new one, and then 5 more reappear.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, usually somebody else has it, so you know.
That's the truth.
Because I was really prepared and I had all of a question and a half written down.
Don't let people look behind the curtain.
Well,
Yeah, it's
so far we've extended it out on that.
Yeah, we're not
question
doing too
and a
bad.
half.
This
we've hit an hour on a question and a half. I think you're doing
Yeah,
okay.
off air, as you mentioned, we don't know what you're doing. Neither do I. That's been kind of the medium for this entire show that I've been doing now since March. Do you have any advice for anyone out there that that are thinking about going into the baking world? Maybe they're doing it as a hobby right now and they want to start going to the farmer markets.
Start young.
No
That's
shit.
all I got. Start young. As far as I'm concerned, at least 2 hands and that function properly.
He's too good. He's only got one. Too good.
Well, I get a lot of people. Every now and then I get customers. Did you bake all this yourself? I go
I love a guy.
single-handedly. I mean, really? I formed all of the loaves. I did all. No. My wife does all the baking, so I do not take credit for any of that.
But you're in the kitchen. He mixes up my doughs for me, and I say, and now we need this, and now we need this, and he just says, okay. So he goes along with it, and he works, and he does the caramel for the caramel rolls, and he does, there's a lot of stuff that Pete does.
did
But
see
So anything you don't want to do is his job.
yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
If he can do it with one arm, then damn straight he's doing it. He can't cut the bread at the bread cutter. He can't bake the buns. He can't. There's a lot of things that you can't do, but no, he helps out a lot.
And now I'm kind of worried because I saw the caramel rolls
Oh, did
in a
somebody?
box, and I don't see, and somebody's stashing them away.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not one to be
Gordon.
violent, but
No,
Oddly
everything I
enough,
know
it-
about you, that is the exact opposite.
that is with one person when there's whiskey.
It's oddly hidden with the craisin walnut bread, so I don't know if somebody's got that. You
Wait a
bet-
second, Gordon. Did you just out
Something about a
yourself?
whip.
Look at him, he's all whipped up.
Doesn't even know what he's got hidden. We do have on Facebook. We do have one listener who's asking if there are any tips for farmers market attendees to get good deals. I will mention this individual is also a service member and missed your original comment.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just be a service member.
Yeah.
Bring him a pineapple.
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
You got to be careful with that one.
Is
You
there
get
any-
real touchy about that.
Is there any like pineapple rolls or bread coming down the pipeline? Because I know somebody want to get it for Christmas now.
Yeah, there's always a possibility.
if we can drive that guy insane, we'll make you a pineapple roll.
Well, just hide a chunk of pineapple in a caramel roll or something like that. Just a little piece.
Top it off. Oh, wait, we were.
I'm glad that you guys caught like half an episode and realized that we all want to drive Carlos insane.
Yeah. Pretty much long and short of it.
Just as long as he's not nailing the door shut for the basement.
I don't know as far as deals go. I don't know. We don't necessarily have deals. We usually sell out of everything. If we do have it at the end of the market, that you might give them off some a deal on something. We do like to give it to the food shelf on Sundays. Our bread at the end of the market on Sundays. There's a food shelf that'll come over to the market. It's done now, but they'll come over and have big things, and they take vegetables and stuff, and they always take our bread, whatever we want to get rid of. And then we have a food shelf in the Hudson, so we tend to bring it to them. But if you've been in the service, come on over.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we love that. We love to give that to those guys and women. It's just hard to find them because we don't know who's who. Mm-hmm. But if they have a hat on, I'm going to chase you down. Pete just goes, okay, go ahead.
Well, we've met a lot of really, really cool World War II vets. A
couple of guys.
Yeah, some of the stories he floats through with his daughter, and he's like, I'm about to turn 99 in 3 months, and he's still kicking, and
he wanted
a little
banana
slower
bread,
moving, but
and he asked for banana bread, so I made sure we had banana bread for him. I just, you want to make them the stuff they do, but we did lose one of our vets, World War II vets, and that was really hard because I used to love having him come over to the market, and he'd come up, and those guys they come up and get something from us every single time they come to the market. So, and it's fun, and the stories, oh my gosh, of the World War, and then we actually saw him on a special on TV.
There's a documentary with this guy who was he was in the Marines during World War II. They needed pilots, and they just go, okay, I'll try. Never flown a plane before, and they go, okay, there you go, and now you're on an aircraft carrier. You're going to make it off, or you're not going to make it out.
You're going to make it off one way or the other. Getting back on's another story.
But he was shot down a couple of times, I guess, and just a great guy, and the stories that you hear from some of them, it's pretty cool. Obviously know a lot of Vietnam vets and stuff like that, and
and they don't talk like the World War II vets, but you just want to make sure that they know that you are behind them.
Yeah, I just had this Gary Larson's The Far Side comic kind of picture in my head of you chasing down somebody.
I do.
Come back!
There's that lady again.
The big gal's coming. Watch out!
She's brandishing a baguette at me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the older ones
I survived Normandy, but I can't do this.
Again.
I don't know these guys. I'm not going to nail them quite yet.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Yeah, you guys, that what we do down at the brewery is what you should do. You're at the farmer market on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. Should do full price Saturday. Yeah, full price Saturday. We do full price Friday.
What are you?
Everything's full price. That's the deal.
That's the deal. That is a fabulous deal. I think we'll try it.
I think people will go for it.
Yeah. Better profit for us if they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
As opposed
You're welcome.
to every other day of the week.
And Sundays, put a little sign up, free bread tomorrow.
Tomorrow, in small letters.
Oh,
You're
what?
going. I saw
Buy a
gas
loaf of
station.
bread and a growler from Pitchfork Brewery is free, or Hop and Barrel, whatever.
Yeah.
Buy 2 loaves, 0 free.
There you go. Buy two, get none.
One loaf for $10, two for $20.
I did see an independent gas station with a sign that said "Free gas any day the president doesn't say something stupid."
Oh,
Oh well.
well, that ends that idea.
Way to take things political, Grandpa.
I didn't say
We're gonna
which
have a
president.
nice Thanksgiving this year.
God.
That'd be about free gas if the Vikings ever win the Super Bowl.
man.
Pretty much the same.
That too.
I
much the
just
same line.
realized that this episode drops on Thanksgiving.
It does. Fantastic.
Say, you did mention you wondered if what people need to do if they want to get started at this, And one of the things that I was told, you better love to make bread. You better love to do it. And I was like, well, I really like to do it. I don't know. And now I know what he was talking about. and it's fine. I mean, it's in the summer, I'm just, near tears because the amount of work you have to do and the hours you put in. And I'm old. Just ask Pete.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Shots fired.
It's a good thing I'm a vet from this, so I can get my own free bread.
But it is. It's just. But then there's times when I go, God, I haven't made bread for 2 days. I got to get back in there. So yeah, you do have to love it, and you got to be in there, and it's got to be therapeutic, or you will go crazy.
Yeah. Do you ever hit, in the summer or near the end of the season, do you ever hit that point where you're like, F this, I'm done. I don't want to make another loaf?
Sure, you hit that point, but you just turn right around. I mean, this is what pays our bills, and he was a photographer and I was a photographer, and we had no intention of being business people, and we really don't know what we're doing, and it always just amazes me. I can't understand why people buy bread at the farmer's market. Why don't they make their own? And
Because it's delicious. And
Well,
it
yeah,
takes a
but-
lot of time.
Yeah. And people say, just shut up. They're buying your bread. Just shut up about that. But I've offered, people say, well, I make my own bread. And I go, any recipe you want of what we make, if you like it, I am happy to give it to you.
That's the way to be. I totally agree
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
that.
Solid.
I just think that if you want to, then you'll enjoy doing it. But I have never had one person, they just keep buying it. I just want, damn it. Well, I know that sounds stupid, but I just think why not make it, But it is. It's quite a procedure. And
Although
now it's
this
just-
year she has come up with a new term of bun hand. Because forming the buns is so many different,
Well,
constantly,
thousands of buns. That's what I said. And we will have
It's not a machine.
We will have a TV in the bakery because I got to sit there and make all those buns by hand. And Peter says, sometimes they'll be a little smaller or bigger. I go, you tell everybody if they ever say anything, the smallest one in the bag, that's the size they're supposed to be. And if they get bigger, you're lucky. But my hand will get numb after I get done. I suppose it's like carpal tunnel or something. Who knows?
Leave her alone. Your mom's got bun hands.
At least I got two of the hands.
Oh, snap.
I don't know if we're supposed to laugh.
You might as well. We do all the time. So.
You either laugh or you cry, and we chose to laugh. And we got two boys, and it's been a lot of work. And like I said, we adopted the second one when he was 5, and that was he had a lot of deals going on, and then Pete goes up, oh, well, I got cancer. Well, whatever. We got a lot of work to do here, buddy.
You can't have cancer right now. We're too busy.
Bad timing, Pete. Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get that at a more convenient time, please.
Yeah. So no, and we really lucked out. I mean, one of the doctors that we know, she said, I'd come in there and I'd say, wow, he's still here. And I'm like, thank God you didn't tell me. I didn't want to know that we were all expecting everybody to die. But so we're really lucky.
Oh,
We're
that's
lucky,
awesome.
and we're just doing this because that's what the next thing in life forced down our throats. I don't know what.
Yeah, you gotta be adaptable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm doing these podcasts. I've adapted as well.
It's
To
a hard
what?
job.
Drinking free beer.
You were here anyway.
I was just like
Free beer, free bread. I'm good.
I kind of like just shut, like kind of like didn't really say anything and just sat here and I'm like, God, I hope he lets me stay.
Well, at least I know I'll have somebody in the basement to talk to after a period of time.
Right. But well, if I wasn't sitting here being a smart ass, I'd be doing it somewhere else. So
Yeah, there you go.
Might as well be recorded, right?
yep.
You got to do what you do well and be proud.
Well, you got to do what you do. I mean,
Wow.
Thanks.
Wowie.
Drink this beer.
It's a very serious show that we run around here.
Yeah, indeed. No, before we wrap up, just on the logistical side, any ballpark on how many loaves of bread you've made?
Oh, no.
We don't want to think
No
about
one's
that.
ever asked you this before?
How many we've made
Do you
since
have like
we
a
started?
chalkboard? You don't keep track of
No,
this?
no, I can't. No.
you didn't have a party with like the
I'm
10,000th
I'm gonna
loaf,
say
She left it up to me. I get to 5. I'm not taking my shoes off. Anything like that. Nope. 5. There we go. We're good.
Fair enough.
oh my God.
Call it good.
Just say a lot. We've made a lot of bread.
You broke Gordon.
Yep. As long as he's not choking on the bread, we're good. Get the labels off.
Get this
folks.
man some bread.
Now I can't even see the notes I didn't write down. Man, thanks again for coming down.
No, this is good.
Good times with
fun.
the old podcast.
And it's been an absolute blast today having you down. One of the things I'd like to do for 2019, if you're up for it, is doing a live show from, in your case, from the bakery, your garage. That's one of the things I'd like to see. I think it'd be a lot of fun and get to see you maybe stand the best out of your way as best as I can, or have Ben help you out best he can.
There's swearing in the kitchen.
really?
Is that okay?
I feel like there's been swearing around the table.
Shut the fuck up, Casey.
You best bring baggies and so to protecting from dust
Oh yeah.
because they're going to come out dusty.
Yeah, I had
after
to buy
that.
a new cell phone. I was not amused.
Making bread in the
Full of flour. And that's the second cell phone I've ruined in the bakery. One of them I dropped in the dishwater, and I couldn't figure out where it was. And then I thought, I bet it's in the bottom of that damn sink.
The cleanest the phone has ever been.
Now this one got full of flour. Now I can't bring it in the bakery. There's a new rule.
How do you like? You take that into service and they open it up and it just goes.
The one I brought in, and it was full of water, and the guy goes, "Did you get it wet?" And I go, "No." And he opens it up, and I go, "So dropping it in a sink of water makes it wet?" All right.
Have you seen how humid it is outside?
It's been raining for 2 weeks straight.
Oh,
Well, and
God.
if at any point if it ends up in a loaf of bread, we'll just call them the winner.
You
won
want
our
a really
contest.
expensive prize.
Yeah, exactly.
If your loaf of bread starts ringing in your fridge, don't be alarmed.
We'll let you get home and then dial it.
Is it the Muffin Man? Calling my bread phone?
Is this Drury Lake?
Are you on Facebook then? Any social media websites or your own personal
Facebook.
website?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page,
And where can people find you on there?
Bitmad Bakery, or Facebook at Bakery Bitmad. I think is what they have it listed as. So,
Bitmad, just like it sounds.
yep. A lot of people do say Bite Mad. I don't know where they get that from, but
They can't
know.
Or
spell.
bit
No.
It's a Wisconsin education
Bitmade,
system.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hopefully that's
somebody
changing.
moved north of 8. I don't know if he's going to get it.
All bets are off
no.
north of 8.
Yeah, and that's
Now
where
he's
I
just trying
grew
to
up,
sound
and
it
that's-
out.
If you listen to last week's Department of Defense episode, you'll find out I'm just now learning colors. We're starting on numbers next week.
The letters are right out. Like,
Yeah.
It's a lost cause.
We're not even trying that one.
Letters too squiggly.
They kicked me out.
I can talk good enough.
But we have had it. People ask about a website where they can order bread, and it's just too expensive to ship. So we don't even
because you
attempt to
ship
bother
it
with
frozen
that.
and then you got to pack it. I mean, we've done it for family members and stuff, and but the cost of that is outrageous.
Plus, it's really heavy bread.
It's really
Yeah,
heavy.
exactly. That adds up. A
Yeah.
$7 loaf of bread will be $35 in shipping.
Jeez.
So you know, if you really have to have it, I guess. But
At FedEx overnight.
pretty much.
Any other questions from you guys? I don't see anything else coming up online here. We can.
I can't think with all this food in front of me.
Hey, you remembered this time. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to Rules of the Arena podcast. You can release a new episode every Thursday. If you hang around on Twitch, we're going to be doing another bonus episode tonight, and that's going to be the last one for 2018. Check this show out and others at blindninjastudios.com, and make sure to hop over to thearenaoutpost.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Built in the Arena. And pop over to Bitmad Bakery, check out what they're doing and where they're going to be at next, and go buy the damn bread. It's seriously the best bread I've ever
Very
had.
tasty.
It's
Except
delicious.
for the cranberry and walnut. Just
He's
leave that. I'll take it home with me.
lying.
It's fine.
I think the crickets got it. I could
Yeah. Charlie. Thanks again. We'll catch you next time.